there is some concern right now that the appellate court held that Trump does not have some magical presidential immunity today, or late yesterday, whatever, but it came out today. And apparently the reactions to that have been a bit rough because half of them can't decide if that's a good thing, and it'll get punted up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will rule in Trump's favor, which it fucking well isn't. And the other half, I guess, hope it will work, in which case, if it does work, do you have any idea the unimaginable power that Joe Biden will have from that day forward? Seriously. Okay. Now, obviously, there's a bit of a panic going on in Trump land. And we have two people with the most annoying voices in the world who are going to chime in on this. Levin, why the Supreme Court should stay out of the Trump Jan 6 debate. Okay. Again, because if they agree that the president during his time in office has complete automatic immunity, if they rule that he says what he wants to have, Biden, while he's president right now, magically gets those powers, and then it's fucking game on. Or off, I suppose. Right? Just absolute dumb shittery. But I'm curious which angle they're going to take, because they're both equally dumb. Again, this is a long clip, so we don't need all of it. I'm curious to see just how stupid this take can be.
Mr. Mark Levin, how are you, my friend?
Mr. Glenn Beck, let me look. I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Ew, he's at home in a robe, apparently.
I'm pretty good. I'm a little concerned about 2024. Can't come up with a scenario where it ends well.
Yet you still had the strength to put up a store-bought Christmas tree with no extra decorations.
But maybe you can.
It's such a mess. I mean,
yeah, it is, isn't it? That whole Trump losing and staying lost.
People talking third party. I think if.
Oh, by the way, they're very worried about RFK Jr. and the No Labels crowd because it only eats Republican votes. Democrats, by and large, but for a few stragglers, are well in behind well in behind Biden because they are committed to women's rights. They want, to protect women's rights. That's it. That's not going anywhere. Anybody who actually believes in a woman's right to choose or gay rights or any of the social stuff, and also is looking at what Biden's actually doing with Israel and actually doing in Ukraine and cares about it for real, is going to vote for him. And we're fine. Trump is all over the fucking map. The evangelicals don't know how committed he is to pro-life, and that he's gonna walk in there and sign off on a 25-week ban or something like that, and they want 15 or 5 or nothing at all. And so they're all over the map. They're so fucking lost in what he's actually going to do. And then half of them are like, what was this dictator bullshit? So a lot of people are just going to check out. Independents that might have voted for Trump are just going to not vote. It will lower the turnout, but those folks aren't going to, they're not, if they won't vote for Biden, they're not going to vote for Trump if he's the guy. Just saying. And by the way, I'll look at a poll. I'll show you a poll in just one second that was just fucking hilarious today. Well, you know what? I think it's a good leadoff. Maybe this is why. Maybe this is why they're saying this. Hold on. Let's see. I'll find it real quick. Because we're live and we're doing our thing. And it's all right. There is here it is. Drag this down for you. This is good stuff. I'm really enjoying this one. This is the 2024 national general election poll. Joe Biden up by 10 points, 46%. Donald Trump, 36%. Someone else, 17%. Can you tell from those last two numbers who the someone else fucks with the most? Because if you're talking about a 50-50 country, Biden may be losing 4% to this someone else nonsense. isn't anywhere near the fucking dip this asshole's getting. Look at this. Fucking yikes. Also, yeah, and then we'll look at the, I think I have the Nikki Haley one in there as well. Where was it? Okay, hold on. These are your choices. Someone else. I gotta, hold on, I'll find this in a second. The best part about the other one was, maybe it's, we'll look at Nikki Haley. One of the reasons why they're shitting on Nikki Haley today is because she did really, really well in that poll too. Like she jumped way up. Let's see. I'll look up poll. Because that came up. Let's see this. Whoop-a-doo. Yeah. We will find it. Doo-ba-dee-doo. Video that. Where are we? 1 second. Yeah. This is older. Where we go? Yeah, new Trafalgar Group poll. Wait, is this? No, that's December 12th. Yeah, it is. Hold on. That's right. That's yesterday, late last night. Yeah, here you go. This would be the other one. Now, let me tell you. Some Republicans are using this as an idea that this is Donald Trump is just fucking killing it. He's killing it. He got elected, in the first place, and he got and in the re-election in 2020, he got 98% of the Republican Party. He's down to less than 50% in this one. Look at that. It's cut in fucking half. And now she's at 18, and Chris Christie is in double digits and beating Ron DeSantis. What the fuck? Now, again, polls don't matter. You're right. In terms of the next election, it doesn't matter. The reference on this, you need to know this stuff and that these polls came out when they did, right? When, this is why these folks are reacting the way they are. And by the way, none of these people are worth voting for. That's not the point. And again, Chris Christie he had 4%. This is directly related to the debates. He's beating Ron DeSantis right now. That means, do you think that Donald Trump's people, the 45% that are holding on here, let's say half of them are Trump only. Maybe even more than that. Maybe 2/3 of them are Trump only. If he's not the man, they're not fucking voting, right? Just like Tim Druhl said, in the other clip we were talking about, where he's like, these are first-time voters and oftentimes last-time voters. If Trump isn't on the ballot or isn't the guy, they're not showing up. That's pretty obvious. If it's Nikki Haley or Chris Christie or Ron DeSantis, they're fucking off. That's it. That's a dead lose. That's 30% of their own party pissing off. Wait for it, though. Chris Christie is running entirely on a fuck Trump vote. That's what he's going after. Same thing with Ron DeSantis. Both of them at this point are running on fuck Trump. Do you think either one of them would get that their supporters, let's say half of DeSantis' reporters might go over to Trump. The other half won't. And all of the Chris Christie vote is a fuck Trump vote. They're not voting for Trump. And a good portion of them might vote for Biden if Trump is in the race, just as a fuck you to that guy. In all seriousness. This ain't good for them. This is not dunking material. This is the bad situation to be in. And this is why, for the record, this is why they're talking the way they are. This is why they're freaking about there's a little context to why these guys are wigging about 2024. Because they know Trump's a loser.
It's Nikki Haley who I really oppose.
There you go. Let's say Nikki Haley, the second most popular one, ends up getting the nomination. This motherfucker is going to destroy her, or He's going to shift to her because he's a fucking asshole, and a bunch of people who listen to him are going to be mad at him and not vote because they were the pure Trumpers who were only liking Mark Levin because he blew smoke up Trump's ass all the time.
I call her George Bush in a dress, and she pretty much is. And
with her foreign policy, she is. With her foreign policy, absolutely.
Look at her domestic policy. As soon as she wanted to invite.
There you go. So check her off the fucking list. That everybody watching these dipshits is like, fuck Nikki Haley. There she goes as possible VP. There she and all of her voters who really do think she deserves a shot are outliers in the Republican Party.
Palestinians in Gaza into our country. What, she lost her mind?
Yeah, that's
she gave land to communist China in South Carolina, and now she pretends she's a hardliner.
Wait, she gave it to them in South Carolina? First of all, it was Trump's relaxation on the CIC, the Chinese Sovereign Wealth Fund, that allowed the Chinese to buy fucking land in her state.
She's never been a leader on any of the issues that matter to us.
Never. She's not a leader on any of the issues that matter to us. Well, let's put a pin in that one.
Whether it's abortion, whether it's the border.
Well, it might be because she's a woman and you're not, and she actually thinks about this with some depth, and you're just a fucking piggish asshole.
Whether it's tax cuts. And I looked at these allegations by DeSantis, and he's right. Go and Google him. Look at him. She refused to sign a bill that said men use men's rooms and ladies use ladies' rooms. Now, when he came...
Well, that's got to settle it.
...to the woke war, she sided with Disney. I'm going, what's going on here? This woman is not going to be...
Well, in her defense, all park versus studio separation aside, Disney is one of the largest employers in the state of Florida. And by the way, if they decided to pack their shit and move, her state's right next door.
Able to fight the Marxist revolution that is surrounding us since we're...
Yeah, we're totally surrounded by a Marxist revolution. I mean, you might be onto something. I guess the Charleston marchers with the tiki torches were saying Jews will not replace us, and Marx hated Jews. So, strange bedfellows, I would say,
around us today. Which is why Karl Rove and Romney and this guy Fink at Blackstone or BlackRock, whatever the hell they call themselves, all these people.
Blackstone isn't. It's Treadstone I'm thinking of.
Including liberal Democrat billionaires who are going to vote for Biden.
Fucking Hassan brothers are loving them some Marxism. Yeah, it's real easy to love Marxism when you live in a $2 million house.
Backing her. So she goes third party. You know, the rhinos are the fifth column. They're the fifth column in our party, and frankly, they're the fifth column in this country, along with
Jesus Christ. Like fifth column is a term of war. Dude, just disagree, for fuck's sake. Like, I have issues with some of the other, was it Blackbriar and Treadstone, right? That's the where the Born Identity groups, yeah. I disagree with, chunks of the Democratic Party at times, and I have my issues with the fucking, Bernie bro crowd and all that kind of shit. Yes, Marx was not poor. Marx didn't hate Jews. Yes, he did. As a matter of fact, he struggled to find a word bad enough to describe them. That's why he used the N-word to name them. Go look it up. It's super fun. In his, I think it was in his letters with Engels. Anyways, doesn't fucking matter. It's like arguing about Zoroastrianism versus, 6th century, offshoots of like whatever, I don't know, Hasidic Christianity.
Media. The Democrats, once they get their fighting out of the way, they'll back Biden. They would back a kumquat for president.
No, I know they would.
Yeah, totally. We did. I'm big. I literally was pushing Biden kumquat 2024 stickers, but nobody wanted to buy them or whatever because they just like Kamala Harris. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the Coptic Christians were another group. Yeah.
But our guys, they'll splinter. The base is.
Well, yeah, I am with Mark Levin on this one issue, and that is that the Republicans are a scattered group of assholes who politically and intellectually can't find their ass with both hands, and therefore should not be trusted with any meaningful power anywhere. I don't think any of these motherfuckers should be managing a Starbucks because those liquids are hot and it's very dangerous. Yes, Republicans are incapable of successfully running anything worth a fuck. And I happen to love this country. Yeah. So I don't want any Republicans in charge of any of it because they're completely full of shit. I am happy, though, to settle that argument in the voting booth.
Always supposed to march behind whatever the Republican establishment does.
Okay.
But
Establishment. Get the fuck out. You are part of the establishment, you fuckwad. You're on when you're on Fox, fucking Sean Hannity calls him the great one. Glenn Beck's been in Republican. They're all jockeying to be the new Rush Limbaugh. Fucking establishment. Get the fuck out of here.
this goes to your point, doesn't it? Which is,
Yeah.
it's concerning.
It is. It's concerning. It is. Aren't you concerned? I'm concerned. I'm very concerned.
If the way you feel about Nikki Haley, would you fall in line behind her?
I don't have to. She's going to fall before I have to fall.
No,
in
I know.
line.
But if she were the candidate.
No, I've had enough.
Okay.
Look, there you go. I mean, that, honest to God, Nikki Haley, this motherfucker, if Nikki Haley is the nominee, Mark Levin is not voting for her. Good Lord. Yeah, he's going to bug out. You think he's alone?
Right. Me too. Me too.
And neither is, oh, excellent. So I guess we should all push Nikki Haley. Maybe we should all donate to her fucking campaign. What the fuck?
However,
You think he's a bit sexist? Do I think he's a bit sexist? I think he's being entirely fucking sexist. And I've said this already. This is not shocking in any way. There is no fucking way the base of the Republican Party votes for a woman, and especially a woman of color. Seriously. No fucking way. No fucking way. As a matter of fact, half the people, I would argue, on the Republican side, especially in the big donor class that are backing Nikki Haley, are basically doing that as a dare to Democrats. Like, what if we run a woman of color? We know she's going to lose because our people won't vote for her, but we'll make Biden run against a woman of color. That's the only reason they're doing it. Because they're not going to fucking vote for her. It would be a trouncing. And then they would go, aha, you see, America's not ready for a woman to be president, right? They would use it as, they would use it against other women running for office in the future. But it's not, they're not supporting her because she's the fucking candidate.
if it's Biden or I think Michelle Obama, I'd vote for a kumquat.
Yeah.
Also, this whole thing, they're going to swap Biden out for Michelle Obama is what they've been floating. And of course you would, because A, she's not running, and you don't give a fuck about the country being run well. This is a like whose dick is smaller contest between you and Mark Levin.
I don't think it'll be Michelle Obama.
Ooh.
No, it won't.
By the way, you haven't heard a word from her, have you?
No, we haven't. But it's the only scenario that works out. I mean,
What the fuck are you talking about? Again, by the way, the ghost of Obama is what scares them entirely. And the worst thing, basically, they're hoping this happens. Yeah, Michelle's terrific. But they think they can run a Hillary 2.0 thing again. Bill Clinton ran for he got 2 full terms, and then his wife became a senator and then ran for president. And they think that Democrats, that was a plan of Democrats and not just Hillary as a decent public servant, who was around it a good portion of her fucking life as the wife of the governor and then the wife of the president, deciding I'm going to run on my own. By the way, and running for senator and winning, and then becoming Secretary of State before running for president. They think this is a fucking Pez dispenser. It's so this like it's they wish.
Let's at the convention.
Yeah, that
There's not going to be a fucking convention where they have to swap out Michelle Obama for Biden. He's kicking Trump's ass by 10 points.
the
the thing.
The super delegates. They just forget the vote. They just say, you know what? He's too ill or whatever. He's too frail. The Democrats want another choice.
You fucking wish.
We nominate Michelle Obama.
Believe it or not, if that happens, I think they're going to turn to Hillary. But it doesn't matter what we think.
Yeah, I know.
The problem is,
I would argue it's not that whether it matters or not that what you think. Because I don't think you actually do. I think this is all just reactionary regurgitation. This like camel vomit. You just kind of chew these ideas and then every so often and then re-swallow them.
what's happening right now is this grotesque effort to try and put Donald Trump in prison.
So
it's not grotesque and it's not an effort. This motherfucker wanted to go to jail. Shit, the one trial that's actually really scaring the fuck out of him that might put him in jail, he did after he left office, you dumbass.
You read this a-hole who filed this with the Supreme Court. He's always wanting to cut the corners. He doesn't get it.
Oh, Jack Smith, right.
Attorney-client privilege, so ruled an Obama judge. All these privileges, presidential privilege.
Hold on. No. First of all, the reason he doesn't get attorney-client privilege is because he implicated his own attorneys in the actual scheme. And in one case, he basically forced his attorney to make false statements by lying to his attorney. And that person signed a document thinking they were telling the truth when Trump threw them under the fucking bus, which breaks attorney-client privilege because that is an ongoing crime, and you are using them as an unwilling party in that ongoing crime.
Executive privilege, attorney-client privilege, all denied Donald Trump.
Well, for the record, too, again, because his attorneys were either criming with him or he tried to use them in the furtherance of a crime and they found out and they were in trouble. Yes, the crime fraud exception. And also, in terms of he has to assert executive privilege and he didn't. It's not automatic. You have to, because otherwise there'd be no oversight. If it was automatic, you'd have to have a court case anytime you had a fucking conversation between Congress and the White House and the administration at all.
He doesn't want to go through the normal appellate process because he can't get his trial going before the election. You know, it takes years.
Right. He doesn't want to waste time.
To have a full-blown criminal trial, particularly when you're creating constitutional issues of first impression. So he brings us to this.
No, they aren't. Just because Trump's the first person with the gall to commit a crime doesn't mean the fucking crime is made up.
Point. Now he's demanding that the Supreme Court hear his motion against Trump as soon as possible. And these dimwits, they say, okay, we'll consider your argument. Trump's lawyers, you have 1 week to respond. You go, what? You had a case in Pennsylvania during the course of this election, not about ballots, not about voting machines, a pure constitutional question, a legitimate question about who gets to decide and write election laws in the state. The governor, the Board of Elections, or the legislature, like the Constitution says in black and white. They wouldn't even take up that case.
That's because it was during a pandemic and there was already a law in place about emergency powers that the governor has, that he doesn't have to call the legislature back so that the election can go forward, so that people can't use a natural disaster to delay an election, especially on the federal level. There was no point. It need not be an issue other times, and the emergency powers already cover it in every fucking state. This is idiotic, and it goes back to the founding. Like the idea that you wouldn't have something in place where you have to call the legislatures again in to get a majority vote, but the majority of them live across the river that the bridge has been washed out on. And since they can't, we can't have a vote. Till when? Till we build a new bridge. Get the fuck out of here.
You have other cases.
Yeah. Besides that one, that's stupid.
That people are waiting for in front of the Supreme Court, not to get.
You mean the ones where you've got like high level right wing groups trying to deny women and gay people and poor people their rights that are have worked their way up in the Pez dispenser after going through all this bullshit and being denied a bunch of times in an effort to get pushed over that line. Oh, look at that. The Dow Jones just hit 37,000 points. This might be another reason why they're upset.
Too much in the weeds. These Enron case, they use the obstruction and the Enron case against these January 6ers, which doesn't apply. It doesn't even meet the elements. So they're on appeal all the way to the Supreme Court, and the same day the court says, okay, we want to hear these arguments on the motion from Jack the Ripper Smith there. The court says, we're going to punt on this for now. Well, maybe we'll consider it later in the year or next year. You got people sitting in jail. So this is really...
Yeah, but they all had bail hearings, and the majority of the people that were arrested and got a bail hearing, even people whose crimes were equal to or greater than some of the people who are still in jail, they got to go home because when they had their bail hearing, they didn't tell the judge, you're goddamn right, I did it, and I'll do it again. And spit at the camera, and then spit on guards and go, COVID's a hoax, and then have to spend time in the fucking... In isolation, and then claim that they're a political prisoner because they're held in isolation, not because they have to be, but because they attack the guards and they're being fucking lunatics.
Amazing. You have a case, this Judge
Chunkin?
I had a great lawyer on my program. Schoen is his name, David.
Yeah, shown him the door. All right. Go ahead.
Schoen. And he said, Mark, I've been sitting 3 years waiting for a decision from this judge who wants to have a trial on Trump in a 5-month period. It's all a setup. And so this guy, Jack Smith, the courts are bending over backwards to accommodate this guy. He wins every single motion.
Yeah, it's so sad. It's almost like he writes really well and knows the law, and Trump hires flunkies who are full of shit.
Trump loses every single motion.
Yeah, but also, again, because his lawyers are dumb.
In front of this radical Obama judge, the appellate court, which is overwhelmingly Democrat, because when Harry Reid was the Senate leader and Obama was president, they added seats to the D.C. circuit and filled it with Democrats.
Gee, I thought Trump had loaded up. Wasn't he saying the greatest thing about his presidency was how many judges he got appointed? There were like 300 plus, more than any other president.
This recent panel had 2 Obama appointees and 1 Biden appointee. The judge that Trump's dealing with now is an Obama appointee. The judge...
3 of the judges on the current Supreme Court, by the way, the conservative-leaning court, 3 of them are fucking Trump appointees. What's your point? You should want to rush straight to the fucking Supreme Court yourself.
Trump was dealing with before that was another Obama appointee. And now we go to the Supreme Court, and I'll tell you, Glenn, John Roberts.
By the way, fabulous camera work at the Glenn Beck show. Did somebody just fall asleep on that fucking button? Not that there's much to see, but this is very weird. I don't know why it's up to us to constantly be like on intruder watch.
Roberts is a huge problem. John Roberts is...
Also, is Glenn listening or is he watching that television? Because I know Stu isn't. He's reading whatever the fuck's there. He's totally checked out.
Like this guy, Michael Ludick.
You're right. Maybe, what is it? Angry Funny Mom says, is that a still photo? No, it's, I think they recorded a loop and they just played it back like bank robbers who do that with security footage.
They hate Trump. The Republicans, but, they're proper Republicans. They don't like the tweeting, they don't like the language. Oh, my goodness, hold this.
Is it the language or is it that he's describing his behavior? I don't think they had a problem with him saying the word grab or even the word pussy, but the fact that he does it without permission, non-consensual sexual assault, and he's kind of bragging about it by saying, fortunately, you're a star, you get away with it. That would be the thing. It's not the syntax of the words matter, and the fact that they actually reflect his behavior might be a thing. Possibly. Especially in the people who consider themselves Christians, one would think. Yes? No? No? Yes?
Stuff's going on here. It's just so unseemly. It's so...
Yeah. stuff's going on. It's just so unseemly. Is it now? Is it so unseemly? Is it as unseemly as what he did to E. Jean Carroll? You fucking twerp.
Improper, they're just used to losing.
Improper. Get out of here. Excuse me. Mark, since you assholes are just going to have a still photo up, I don't even know why I don't just kind of, there you go. How about that? Sorry, you were saying something, Mark, about something improper, you said? There was something improper. What was it?
Just so unseemly.
It's so unseemly. I agree. Look at that.
So improper.
Oh, it's improper. Ugh.
No, they're just used to losing the country very properly,
Yeah.
But what's happening here, in my view, is we have a Potemkin criminal justice system.
We have a Potemkin criminal justice. Yes, that's right. They want to throw Trump in a gulag. That's why they're dragging us. That's why he gets to go to every fucking court he wants to. That's why he still has a fucking passport. That's why he's getting every possibility of appeal. That's why even when he's found guilty, he's not going to have to report to jail. He'll be remanded, and to his own recognizance, released on his own recognizance, awaiting appeal. He's not going to go to jail during that time. In between that time, he'll either win his appeal because he'll find a right-wing judge that throws out the conviction or some shit like that, or he'll still be stuck with fucking guilty and end up, going, fake blind right before he goes into, I don't know, he'll I can't see anymore. I can't see. I don't know where the jail is. I'm too blind to go to jail. Nice tits. Fuck, I can't. Blew it for me.
We have judges that wear black robes. You go into these mahogany paneled courtrooms.
Yes, we believe in class in this country. I know if Trump was back, they would be wearing, I guess, sequins, and that it wouldn't be mahogany. It would be like knockoff W Hotel look style with gold fucking laminated everything. Yeah, real classy with a big T on everything.
Got a prosecutor standing over there. He gets his desk. The defense gets their desk.
Right, the defense gets their desk. In this lovely mahogany place, the defense and the prosecution, the government and the opponent, or the opponent and or the prosecutor or whoever's making the case, and the defense or the person attacking the government gets to have they each get, sometimes it's not the same table. They're on different sides of the argument.
Eventually you have a trial, the jury sits over
Yeah, that's how shit works. What the fuck?
There.
And by the way, it's never been a problem until you got a fucking criminal elected.
It all looks so proper.
It is.
It all looks so constitutional. And it's all bullcrap because all these movements and actions before this trial, the motions filings, the decisions on the motion filings and everything.
You mean that his idiot lawyers make and they're completely incompetent and stupid?
They will determine the outcome of this election. And just finally, I know I'm rambling a bit, but
yeah, you are, but a bit. A smidge.
I tend to do that.
Yeah.
One of the things that troubles me a lot here is this.
Yeah.
This guy charges Trump with a Klan Act violation, with 2 Enron violations,
right, and
a federal contractor violation. These 4 statutes. So it was bogus. It is bogus.
No, these are pretty specific. These are about, the Enron ones are about crossing state lines with certain criminal acts. That, he did steal the fucking documents and take them to Florida and pretend he didn't have them and then engage in a conspiracy to hide the documents, which is very much like Enron did.
But his arguments, which had been allowed by this judge, his paper filings, are all about insurrection and
well, the ones about the Jan 6 are. The insurrection stuff doesn't come up in the other case about the documents, dumb fuck. That's just an unforced error by Trump's ego.
Seditious conspiracy. In other words, and this is a grotesque violation of prosecutorial ethics. Grotesque.
It's grotesque. It's grotesque. We hear that. And by the way, thanks, Mark. Obviously, you've seen some of my videos where I've called your behavior and your attitude and what you say grotesque, and that word is growing on you. I can always tell when people pick up a word that I use frequently because they've seen the videos I've made about them. Mm-hmm.
He is making the case without having proved.
Oh, sorry, you can't even see. The one movement. Stu was yawning.
The elements of the crimes that he's basically arguing for, that Donald Trump knew or had to know that what he was saying, what he was doing, what he was texting, what he was reading prove that he wanted a violent event to occur that day.
Yeah, that's part of the case he has to make, dumbass.
So why didn't you charge him with that? He's not charged with violence about anything. He's charged with the Klan Act and obstruction and all the rest of these things. And the judge...
Right, because you got to prove internal motive for some of these other things, but you can charge the other things just on actions, stupid.
Rules. Oh, that's okay. What's okay? So he's charged with 4 phony charges, but this guy's arguing something completely different. And other serious...
All right. At this point, even Glenn doesn't know what the fuck Mark is talking about.
Litigators or former federal prosecutors or whatever are saying this is not the way this is supposed to be done. And it's all happening. The Supreme Court should not take this case up. There's no emergency reason why this case has... By the way, if you read this...
Yeah, there is. They got an election next year, stupid.
Motion. This clown keeps talking about the public interest. The people have a right to know. What does he know about the public interest? He sits holed up. He's in a room with 10 other reprobates. They're making all these decisions on their own, and then they speak for the public. Well, they sure as hell don't speak for 80 million people.
81, actually. That's how many Biden won. Just saying.
And so the judiciary, I would argue, is doing severe damage to this country.
Well, of course you would say that because you're part of the support structure for the criminal that's being charged.
Allowing
the Klan Act with a K, as in the Ku Klux Klan.
Incredible interference in this election process.
Well,
and when it's all said and done, they'll never recover.
I will tell you that John...
Yeah, the Supreme Court's problem is not this case. It's fucking Clarence Thomas's pay for play shit. That's what's dogging them. That's the only story about the ethics issues at the Supreme Court right now. And then I guess who paid Brett Kavanaugh's bills.
Roberts is the kind of guy who thinks we should rule on this and let this go forward. Otherwise, we'll be blamed for it. Right. And they'll say, oh, it's the judicial activism of the Supreme Court. So we're protecting the Supreme Court by letting this small injustice, as they would think, just let this pass. Let them do it, and they hash it out, and then our hands are clean. It's an act of Pontius Pilate, quite honestly.
Okay, oh God, Pontius Pilate. For fuck's sake, no. If they take it up, that means they're not letting the appellate court stand. If they punt it, then that's them saying it's already been ruled on and we're not going to get into it because we believe it stands and there's not a good argument for pushing back on it. It's pretty cut and dry. Or if they hear it and then they rule on it, then it's going to look activist no matter which direction they take it. They know this. So at some point, one would think they're more concerned about the ongoing law. And again, if the Supreme Court finds for Donald Trump in this particular one about like administrative fucking immunity, automatic presidential immunity, it instantly makes Joe Biden the most powerful president we have ever had. Right now, going forward, he knows that's the rule. That no matter what I do, I have automatic immunity for anything I do while I'm president. That's the argument by Donald Trump. And if, fuck that, because that's not true, and it shouldn't be true. We're a democracy. Nobody's above the law, and the president might have a little more leeway because they have to call drone strikes and all kinds of other stuff, and there's going to be leeway because they're acting in the best interest of the American people or making their own judgments on it. They have the freedom to do that, whatever. But they can't just fucking, like, commit a crime like in, the Absolute Power, the Clint Eastwood movie. Remember that shit? You can't, the irony that if this passes, Biden could technically, according to this, go down to Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody. It's stupid. Nobody wants that.
Honestly.
100%.
Yeah.
I call him Hollywood John. He's very worried about what's said about him.
By the way, can I just say, can we all just enjoy the fact that these motherfuckers hate each other? Seriously. Yeah, murder, rape, human trafficking, be okay. I mean, I don't know, like, even under the table selling pardons, all that shit, which is what Trump is saying. I guess that's good. So at what point, I mean, if that's true also, Biden doesn't even need to pardon himself. He's just good. He's just fine. And if it applied during the vice presidency, then he could just retroactively go, anything that's true about presidential immunity also applies to the vice president, because the vice president might need to carry out the duties of the president in one way, fashion or another on equal part of the president. Even though I'm the ultimate decision maker, they have the right and protection that is afforded to the president in case. Like, yeah, Biden could in this organization, this is terrible and should never happen. But in this, the way they're talking about this, Biden could shoot Trump and then it would be legal. What the fuck? No, what? It's just stupid.
I thought about him, his wife, and Thomas Friedman over there at the New York Times. They're best friends. They get caught up in these social circles, which always go the way of the left.
Well, yeah, because if you think it goes the way of the left, it really just goes the way of Democrats, and that's because Democrats actually have friends. Mark, you don't have any. You have either people you're sucking up to, or people who are sucking up to you, or people who view you as a sub-equal. That's why Glenn thinks of Mark Levin as a sub-equal. Mark thinks of Glenn as a sub-equal, meaning we're both on the same strata. We do the same job. We're in the same ballpark. We're in the same sandbox, but I'm better than him. I wouldn't say that because I'll be nice or whatever, but we're not friends and we're not partners, but we're in the same genre, and he's not as good as me. That's it. That's honest to God.
And I don't trust this guy. I don't even.
He's talking about the head of the conservative-leaning Supreme Court of the United States. That's this motherfucker. That's what he thinks. These are Republican appointees.
Trust Kavanaugh, and Barrett is a complete disappointment
because first of all, she's a chick, right?
So she's right under Roberts' wing. You really have three tremendous constitutionalists. Then you've got a couple of rhinos, and then you've got the hardcore left Democrats. I'm worried about this.
Seriously, can you imagine this fucking conversation a year and a half ago? Listen to this dumbass. This is absolute garbage.
So Alan Dershowitz has...
Jesus Christ. If that's your fucking fallback, you're done. You mean Alan Dershowitz, the guy who got a multiple massages, we now found out, at this guy's house? At his house. I got some really close friends. I have some very close friends. I have been to the Playboy Mansion multiple times. Engaged in my own level of chicanery at that place. And it was a joy and a good time and super fun. However, while I was there, Hugh Hefner himself walked up to me and said, "Would you like to get a massage upstairs? I have someone who do that." I would say, no, I'm not getting fucking a massage in your house. What are you talking about? Give me a spa certificate. The shit are you talking about? I'm not going to have you deliver a woman to my room, you shit. That's not how it works. You fucking nuts? No. But meanwhile, tell me again about Alan Dershowitz, who, by the way,
just
hold on. So, who, for the record, if I may, get over here, you silly thing. For the record, got a massage at Jeffrey Epstein's house and defended Donald Trump during his impeachment. Like, these dudes are thick as thieves.
Based on the speed of this trial. He's like, there's no way Donald Trump could even prepare for a defense. And
sure he could. He's the one that committed the fucking crime. Let me tell you something. One of the reasons why everybody's so comfortable with the idea of a speedy trial when it comes to a defendant is that a defendant who is guilty knows exactly the details. They know all the real details of the fucking crime. They know all of them. The prosecution might know a majority of them, might know most of it, but they don't know all of it. The person who committed the crime knows all of it, every bit of it. So it's way easier for them to mount a defense once they know what the prosecution knows versus what they know. And wherever there's a gap between the how they know the crime was committed and what the state knows, that's where reasonable doubt is. That's how you do it. That is how criminal defense attorneys work. They know exactly how this motherfucker killed somebody or did whatever he fucking did. And then they find out what the state knows. And anywhere there's a distance between what actually happened and what the state says happened, that's your reasonable doubt. And you just fucking stick a pole in that and you just wedge that gap as big as you fucking can. Trump has plenty of time he had enough time to do the fucking crime.
He said, we are at a banana republic. If
was he calling you from there? Did he have good reception? Because I've always had good phone reception in banana republics.
If that isn't stopped, he's like, there's no way that this trial should go forward next year only because of the amount and volume of documents that have to be processed.
What the fuck are you talking about? How processed? All right. Trump knows exactly which documents right now. He knows exactly which documents he is charged with having in his possession. He also knows how they were, whether they were in his property at the time, he's seen them himself, or they were in there amongst other things. And his staff knows who put them in there. If he hadn't seen them yet, they know they put them in there. They interview those people and they go, hey, here's the testimony. We talked to your staff. They're the ones who put these in there at your request. These documents were in that box until our agent found them, put them next to the box, took a fucking picture. That's our case. What's yours? And if you're going to say they weren't in your possession, you've never seen them before, we're going to show you next to that box. This box that is in this other thing. Here's all the pictures. This is this box that you posted that's from your shit of that box in this room. This is your Waltine Nada. This is video of him carrying that fucking box to your office. Now do you remember the fucking document? And then our agent opened the box and we're filming the whole thing. We have it on video, by the way, but we have stills of all the documents that were next to the box with their evidence tags next to them. So do you remember now? That's it. That's the whole thing. And the ones that were in his desk, it's game, set, match. At a certain point, he's going to get more counts for each of the extremity of the documents and how many he had. But past a certain point, fuck off.
He said it's criminal if they speed this trial up or they let it go.
Bullshit.
At this rate. Do you
look, just because your attorneys are slow doesn't mean the trial has to be. Hire some quicker attorneys.
Agree with that?
I mean, you denied him a crime privilege. You did it in a secret proceeding. That's a violation of the Fifth Amendment.
Hold on. You what now? Run that by me. You denied him what?
It's criminal if they speed this trial up or they let it go at this rate. Do you agree with that?
I mean, you denied him a crime privilege. You did it in a secret proceeding. That's a violation of the Fifth Amendment.
I think he said client privilege, like attorney-client privilege, because there was a glitch in it. But
the phony claim of a crime fraud exception. So his lead.
The phony claim of a crime fraud exception. It's literally what happened. They have the text messages from Waltine Nada and these other fuckers about Trump arranging to telling his attorney, all these boxes will be in this room. In 2 weeks, you come back and pick them up, and you'll go through them. You'll go through them. Nobody else will. You'll go through them. And then you sign this document saying we don't have any more, classified documents. And then over the 2 weeks, while he was telling his attorney that he wasn't, that room was locked now, they fucking open the thing. They have video of them bringing the boxes in. He's taking stuff out. Some of it ends up in his fucking desk. He puts the boxes back, and then he lets him go through there, and they only found a few things. And he goes, well, even those things you found, if you could throw them out, that'd be fine. If you found any more. And then he makes his attorney, who he knows he's lied to, sign a piece of paper that this is all that they have.
Lawyer in the January 6th case.
He defrauded his own attorney and caused them to commit a crime.
Had to testify in front of the grand jury, and he had to provide his notes that he had taken with Donald Trump.
Right, which he started taking because he became aware that his client was engaging in criminal activity.
We've never seen anything like this. We don't know what they're talking about. It's all done in secret. That happened.
That happens all the time, especially in mob and RICO cases.
I'm told other things happened in front of that grand jury that were absolutely unacceptable by some of the lawyers working on this case. So what he's talking about, Dershowitz, there's a violation.
Also, by the way, notice in this complaint about attorney-client privilege, none of that erases the idea that, I guess, that Trump is effectively admitting guilt. It's just that person wasn't supposed to be allowed to tell on me.
Due process, Fifth Amendment, and the Sixth Amendment, which is the right to effective counsel. You can't have effective counsel when they're drowning in documents and witnesses and everything else, and the judge, for no reason.
He said that there is no way that he said if that
tell me what he said.
Lawyer stands in front of that judge and he says, no, you have to proceed. And they aren't ready because there's no way possible. He said he should quit immediately and say, I'm sorry, I'm not going to abide. And if that means you're going to hold me in contempt, hold me in contempt. But this is a travesty of justice.
And you heard, and sorry, Alan Dershowitz told you that? Okay. I guess we can all, everybody, we're good with the word of Alan Dershowitz at this point. How many attorneys are in this fucking country? And yet the only one you can dig up is the dude who used to hang out with Jeffrey Epstein? What the ever-loving fuck? Is every other attorney in this country that isn't working for Donald Trump against him? Is that the issue? It's just you've either worked for Donald Trump or still do, or you've seen the evidence and you're like, I'd never fucking ever work for that guy.
Well, I guess that's right. I mean, every lawyer has to make their own decision on how to proceed. So I don't know if I do that or not. I really hadn't thought about it. That's
much like what else the other things you've talked about today.
Said he's right on the substance of the issue, 100% right. Now, the problem with all this is this lower court judge and this prosecutor all know that they're setting Donald Trump up for a conviction. So when he runs for office as president in the general election, the media and everyone else will keep calling him a convicted felon. So
just for the record, though, it's not just in this case. He'll be convicted in other stuff as well. And he's also, I'll tell you, there will be a bigger impact with his voters. Because you think his voters give a fuck if he's a convicted felon? Jesus Christ, like a face tattoo. They don't give a shit. They're for it. They like it. They'll take it as a badge of honor, the hardcore Trumpies. It's his loss of his business license and his fucking fraud company that's going to eat up most of the votes. Most of the people that are going to go, wait a fucking second, have already done it because the fraud case in New York has pointed out the fact that he's a flim-flam man.
People who are kind of on the edge, kind of leaning toward Trump because they can't stand Biden. We know who these people are. We live with people like this, right? In our communities, in our neighborhoods, we meet them. He might lose them. And
he might. But hey, if they hate a woman's right to choose and they believe that a woman should be forced to die of septicemia carrying a stillborn fetus to term, hey, look, just consider them a locked-in Trump voter and check them off your list.
The goal.
Right.
And you can see the hundreds of millions of dollars in campaign funding that's going to be spent by the Democrats in the Biden campaign, or in your case, Michelle Obama campaign, I guess, talking about how Trump is a convicted felon and then he'll want to pardon himself. So we won't be talking about inflation.
Well, we won't be talking about inflation because it's not going to be the issue you think it is next year.
The border.
Right. So,
and you won't be talking about the border either, because I got news for you. In January, more than likely, they're going to pass some version of a funding bill that includes Ukraine and Israel funding with a bit of border funding. And the only difference is that it's not going to be more physical wall structure because that will create more access road that allows people to walk to private land or Indian land and walk around the outside of it. For fuck's sake, it's going to entail more surveillance and more checkpoints and more staff at the checkpoints and technology that can see into the trucks that are coming through and shit like that.
Well, can we game this? I don't know how much time you have allotted in your schedule.
Far too much.
I know you're so busy.
For you, the whole week.
Okay. All right. All right. I want to war game this out with you just a little bit because I honestly,
Okay, this is just going to get dumber. Right when I was about to bail out.
I have no idea about it's my understanding the Constitution will allow him to run and to be president and run a campaign from jail. But I don't know. So can you go through this? What happened?
Can I just stop for a second and enjoy that? Can we just enjoy the fact that these motherfuckers feel like they have to game out the possibility that Trump will run for president from fucking jail? Honestly, can we just breathe that in? Do you think they were expecting to be talking about this shit 6 months or a year ago? Oh God, it just feels. I feel such like a lightness. You know what I mean? I just feel like it's like a lift in me.
Happens if the court comes back and the jury comes back and says he's guilty and he's a convicted felon? What happens then?
After I stop laughing? Jesus, I think a big inhale and then I start laughing again. I'm pretty much sure that's how it's going to work out.
We'll get into that in 60 seconds. So all of the best legal minds that I know.
Well, again. Right. Just a short list, low standards.
All say that no matter what the evidence in Washington, D.C., he's going to be convicted.
Right, because of all these people who actually give a fuck about the city and don't want to see like an insurrectionist psychopath running the government again because it might involve their city being burned to the ground.
Do you believe that?
I fear that.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead. And I'll tell you why.
Because you're a fearful person with a chirpy little voice and a weird little head and a very confused attitude, and you get very angry with Mr. Producer. Is that why?
If you're not really able to present your case, if you're not really able to study the evidence,
right,
and in addition to that, to bring forward counter evidence, exculpatory information, because you can't get your head around it because of the time frame. If you're in
a head around, motherfucker, he had. First of all, do you think Trump is going to admit to anyone that he can't get his head around something? Here's the thing. If he had a chance to go, Your Honor, we haven't had enough time to prepare a defense, Trump would go, I don't need to prepare a defense. Let's get this going. I'm going to run and win anyways. Let's just do this. Like, he's never going to admit he can't get his fucking head around it. And if his attorneys ever told him they need more time and they need to punt it or whatever, unless he thinks it's a game where he's manipulating the court, if he thinks they really need that, he's going to be freaking the fuck out. This is just ridiculous. Yeah, he said he's had ever since he committed the crime to prepare.
A city that goes 94% for Biden, and the jury's picked by that out of that population. If you have an Obama judge that,
by the way, for the record, they mean black people. Yeah.
Is ruling in every single instance for the government. When you have a prosecutor who is utterly and completely unethical, who is using tactics that in most courtrooms would be rejected.
No, they're not. By the way, most courtrooms aren't dealing with giant RICO cases or former presidents stealing classified information. The reason why a lot of this is historic on almost every ruling or every filing is because nobody's been this awful before.
Setting up a scenario where nobody could survive because you're targeting this defendant. The charges are...
All defendants are targeted by the prosecution. They have built a case that has convinced them this person is guilty of a crime that requires punishment. They didn't make up the crime and then go, we need somebody for this. Here, arrest that fucking dude.
Preposterous. And by the time you can actually get to an appellate court, it's over. And so that makes what Jackson...
It's over? What are you talking... And again, this is like he's going to...
Smith is doing is so horrific.
Okay, I don't know why these motherfuckers can somehow manage... I don't know how they can do it. How they can somehow manage to make the end of the Republican world so fucking boring. But the idea that, Trump will not be able to survive... This is, I mean, it just they're like, it's like they're appealing to like the TBN crowd. You know what I mean? Like the Christian Broadcasting Network, the Trinity Broadcasting Network, those guys, CBN or TBN, where they like, trying to make old people vapor lock at the idea that, they might, they might send Jim and Tammy to jail, right? That's what they're trying to do. He's an old man. He can't do this. I relate to him because I'm feeble and eat garbage.